me and Martin Roper your STP candidate, because... Why should they vote for me?
Because you're decisive.
Right. Vote for me because I am more decisive. Shall I turn left or right at the bottom of the
Vote Labour. Vote Labour. This is Bill Catlon, your Labour candidate. Vote for me, please.
Vote STP.
Vote Labour. We just hold on. There's something wrong with the brakes. I don't know.
Is there something wrong with the steering?
I can't do anything.
Caslon, William Richard,
Labour, intensive care.
3,237. Roper, Martin Cyril,
STP critical.
1,265. Such, Screaming Lord,
Monster, raving loony.
5,019.
Up the loonies, up the loonies.
Bastard, Alan Beresford,
Conservative.
31,756. And I therefore declare that Alan Beresford Bastard is returned as Member of Parliament for the constituency of Halton Price. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I should like to begin by thanking my loving wife, Sarah, my political agent, Beatrice Prothero, and in particular, the Chief Constable of East Yorkshire, Sir Malachi Jellicoe, who has ensured that this election has been conducted within the boundaries of the law. However, my great victory has been marred by tragedy. A very profound tragedy that has befallen two of my worthy opponents. I would therefore ask you all now to stand in silence with me for 1 minute.
I know why those cars crashed, Bastard. And I know you know why they crashed.
How much do you want? £20,000.
Why do you assume I'm angling for a bribe?
But you can't arrest me here now. It's the greatest day of my life, please.
I'm not going to arrest you. You're far more used to me in Parliament than in prison. It's a law. I want passing.
Sorry, sir. Members only.
I am a member. I've got the largest majority in the House.
Name?
Bastard.
I'm only doing my job.
We claim we are full and enthusiastic members of the European community, and yet we are the only member state whose police don't carry guns. How, then, can the English policeman be expected to respond when heavily armed French bank robbers come swarming through the Channel Tunnel?
I say, Alan, that's awfully good.
You like it?
It's wonderful.
Must be rubbish, then.
Damn. Damn, 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 damn. You're having a bit of trouble with that speech, aren't you, Alan?
I really don't know why you're not in the cabinet, Piers, with a razor-sharp brain like that. How did you ever get to be an MP, anyway? Oh, but then, of course, your constituency is south of Watford, isn't it? Where they'd elect a hat stand if it had a blue rosette on it. Hello, Alan Bastard, biggest majority in the House of Commons. Oh, Sir Malachi, yes. Yes, Chief Constable, they're voting on it this afternoon, so with any luck you should be shooting suspects by tea time. Now, about the little car crash I had nothing to do with. Hello? Hello?
Aha! Big day for you, Bastard. Third reading of your private member's bill.
Oh, is it today? Oh, thank you for reminding me, Sir Stephen. I was going to pop off at 2:30 and visit a massage parlour.
Oh, very good. I know a joke when I hear one. I think I may just have heard one then.
Look, I'm trying to write a speech. Go away.
I'm very sorry, old boy. I won't say another word.
Good.
Extraordinary, really. Bastard's only been in the house 3 months. He's on the verge of arming the police.
Alan's got writer's block.
Oh, have you? Well, look, may I give you a preview of my intended oration? It might help to stimulate your creative juices.
No, thank you.
For a century and a half, the British Bobby has patrolled his beat on his trusty bicycle, armed only with his sturdy truncheon, his whistle, and his considerable courage.
Here, here.
Old hat.
Oh, do you really think so? Oh, all right. Armed only with his whistle, his considerable courage, and his old hat.
Mr. Bastard. For a century and a half, the British Bobby has patrolled his beat on his trusty bicycle, armed only with his sturdy truncheon, his considerable courage, and his old hat.
I left my notes on the desk.
As Wordsworth put it, who is this happy warrior? Who is he that every man in arms should wish to be? But enough of poetry. In my opinion, arming the police is simple common sense. And so, in the immortal words of Hill Street Blues, let's do it to them before they do it to us.
Order! Mr. Robert Flippin!
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I speak against this bill as a man who on demonstration, picket line and sit-in has very often been on the receiving end of the brave Bobby's sturdy truncheon. I now realise, of course, that a bullet in the brain would have put less strain on the National Health Service. Yeah. The very idea, Mr. Speaker, of arming the sort of thug that we have seen in recent disputes fills me with absolute horror. Have we already forgotten the horrors of
Perhaps it's in your pocket.
Have we already forgotten the powers of sound?
There it is. The sitting.
And if this bill becomes law, this Thatcherite toy boy will have a heavily armed force at his disposal, thus taking us one step further towards a right-wing Tory police state.
Precisely the point of my bill, Mr. Speaker.
Exactly the point of Alan's bill, Mr. Speaker.
Stephen Baxter.
I am obliged, Mr. Speaker. For a century and a half, the British Bobby has patrolled his beat on his trusty bicycle, armed only with his stout truncheon, his whistle, his considerable courage, and his old hat.
Yes, it's through, darling. It's wonderful, isn't it? Tomorrow, Downing Street, eh? Yes, it got an enormous majority. Well, 11. It would have been 12, but Piers got so excited during the debate that he spent the entire division in the loo.
Oh, sorry, Alan.
Oh, darling, I do miss you. I wish you were here with me now.
Well, that's politics, Fluffy Bottom. By the way, have you seen Beatrice Prothero?
No, why?
Well, she doesn't seem to be in London at the moment, and I need her to organise saturation media coverage for my magnificent victory.
Oh, well, if I see her, I'll tell her. Listen, mustache, bath's running.
All right, darling. Yearn for you longingly.
Darling, that's lovely. I'm your little rabbit.
And I'm a rabbit, too.
Right, I'm off down Stringfellows to commit adultery.
Can I come, Alan?
I've no idea, Piers.
Who was that on the telephone? Alan. His bill's through. He wants you to arrange saturation media coverage. Conceited little prat.
Will it keep until morning?
That will. I won't.
I believe that this country will not be better placed when everybody on the beat is, to use, I believe, a contemporary expression, tooled up. Bastard may have passed through the Commons with his bill, but I pledge myself to muster opposition to this bill in the Lords, where, with God's help, we'll throw this foul bill out. Let us pray.
Stupid old duffer ought to be put out to grass.
I thought that's why he was in the House of Lords.
This isn't a laughing matter, Sarah. You heard what he said. He's going to vote against my bill. What if it doesn't get through?
Chilly, darling. I won't be that upset if your stupid bill doesn't get through. I've been thinking about it. I don't want some butch traffic warden with a six-shooter bearing down on me every time I double park outside Harrods.
Oh, how very loyal. Amen. I don't know why I married you.
You married me, my darling, because you're nouveau riche, whereas I can trace my family tree back to Edward II. Amen. And because my father's chairman of the local Conservative Association, he holds your parliamentary seat in his gift.
Yes, well, it was a rhetorical question, wasn't it? And anyway, Edward II was a poof.
I'm on my way. Suspected witchcraft in Pontefract.
Chief Constable, what about my dossier?
The bill's not law yet. You heard the bishop. There's God's work to be done outside this place.
Please, God, don't let the bishop knacker my bill.
Amen. Amen.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, Norman, we know you're in there. The game's up. We've got the full scam on the Chernobyl timeshare scandal.
April Fool. What a ghastly place you've got here, Norman. Bit of a come down for my business consultant, isn't it? What happened to the plush offices in Cavendish Square?
They finally caught up with me. Inland Revenue, the VAT Gestapo, the fraud squad. A man makes 50 or 60 accounting errors. They call him a thief.
Well, does it affect me?
No.
It's not important then, is it, Norman? Right, that's enough small talk. What am I doing here?
I found you, as asked, a supplier of perfect copies of Smith & Wesson .38 standard 7-shot police revolvers.
Splendid. Come mucho, as we're all saying in Westminster these days, since the visit of King Juan Carlos.
As many as you like for £10 apiece.
They're a little light, aren't they, Norman?
That's because they're made out of recycled frying pans. Probably blow up if fired.
Oh. Well, not to worry, eh? As I was saying the other day in the House of Commons, they're not for firing, they're for deterring. So, if you give me the name and address of the supplier, Norman.
Aha. Now, that information will cost you.
How much?
An archer.
A whole Jeffrey? That's £2,000.
I need the money, Alan, and you'll make 50 times that selling these guns to the police.
All right. 1, 2. Mohammed Iqbal Shah International Armaments Limited. This is a third world setup.
Yeah, they're in Accrington.
Well done, Norman. Good luck. Wait a minute. What are you doing with all that money? You fleeing the country?
That's what they expect me to do. No, I've decided to kill myself off.
Oh, we don't need £2 for that. Jump off something.
Well, I'm not committing suicide. No, Norman Borman is simply going to cease to exist.
How do you mean? Exactly.
I'm going to become a woman.
Oh. Evening, Sydney.
Oh, good evening, sir. A great day for you, sir. You've struck a blow for law and order.
Yes, I have had a pretty good day, Sydney. How about yourself?
Me, sir? Oh, well, I haven't had a good day since they abolished hanging. You did promise to bring back the rope.
Yes, I know, Sydney, but it's a long haul to the short drop.
Well, I haven't lost me knack, sir. There we are, sir, on the house.
Thank you, Sydney, but if it's all the same, I'd rather have a large brandy on the house. Oh, police won't dare breathalyse me tonight. Where's Sir Malachi, in the snug?
Mm-hmm.
What's he drinking?
Dandelion and burdock, sir. And a pint of bitter for his friend.
His friend? Mm-hmm. He's supposed to be alone.
Ah, there's not much doubt about this one, is there? Really? Charlton to win at Liverpool. No. If you say so.
Evening, Chief Constable.
Ah, bastard, here's to you. You've struck a blow for justice and Jesus today. Don't sit there. Somebody's seat.
Did you bring it with you?
Bring what?
My dossier.
Oh, that. Oh, by the way, what do you think of this?
Very pretty.
I wasn't talking to you. Yeah. Oh, it's a Colt 45 frontiersman. Yeah. Blow the balls off one of them flying pickets at 50 yards, eh? Oh, yeah, they certainly would be airborne.
Airborne. Oh, yes, isn't it pretty? Shall we put it back in its little house now? Bye-bye. Listen, you promised me that I could have that dossier the moment...
Oh, you mean the dossier that proves you were responsible for that tragic car crash on the eve of the general election? It's all right, he knows. Hmm? Yeah. Oh, the Almighty thinks we'd be very silly not to keep this very useful hold over you while there's still so much of his work to be done.
Almighty. Perhaps if I built you a church.
The Lord of Hosts doesn't need any more churches. He needs you to work for him in Parliament. For example, how about a bill to criminalise atheism?
Yes, it's a good idea. It's a great idea, but you've both got to realise that the chances against a backbencher getting a bill through Parliament are 1,000 to 1. I was very, very lucky last time to do so well in the ballot for private members' bills.
Thinks it was luck.
You mean it was a miracle? Well, in that case, who am I to cavil or demur?
Oh, that's the spirit, bastard. Have a pork scratching, says the Lord.
Thank you, Lord. There may be one small problem, though.
Oh, what's that?
Well, even with heavenly help, bills take time to get through Parliament, and we would be giving the forces of darkness time to build up their strength.
You mean Lucifer?
I mean the Bishop of Halton Price.
Oh, that old fool, he doesn't bother us, does he?
Well, he should do. Don't you remember his sermon? I respect atheists, idolaters, and cannibals, he said. And he opposed the gun law, which we all know was God's will. And last Christmas, while you were away on pilgrimage duty, he preached that not only was Mary not a virgin, she was also technically a surrogate mother.
He never did.
Cross my heart. In fact, not only is the Bishop of Halton Price almost certainly an unbeliever,
I suspect he is the secret leader of all who oppose the will of God.
You don't mean?
The Antichrist.
Yes, of course. It all adds up. What do you think? The Almighty says you're right. Yeah? Here. It's your dossier. He says it's the least we can do. Right, I'm on my way. I will be done.
Can I speak to Deputy Chief Constable Ginsberg, please?
He should never have passed his probationary period. He was hearing voices 10 years before the introduction of personal radios. You did the force a good turn, sir, grassing on that machinery.
Just doing my public duty, Chief Constable Ginsberg.
Chief Constable. That's right. Now I'm the Gunzamacher. So, if there's any little favour I can do.
Well, has your force placed an order for handguns yet? Because I can get them for you, you know. Wholesale.
Blimey, who's that? Dennis Waterman? What's it say on the radar?
Made in Taiwan. Let's say 110.
Let's get him, rich sod.
That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing.
So Hertfordshire Police have bought 500 guns. Great. Well done, Norman. Or is it Norma?
Maybe get a pistol on your little finger. Maybe get a pistol on your finger. Custom kitchen delivery.
He's not slowing down.
Shall I have a pop at his tyres like they do on a telly?
All right, we'll do it with the light on.
I don't think I can go through with this.
Well, do you mind if I start with Andrew?
I mean, I just don't do one-night stands.
Well, I wish you'd told me before. This is the Heathrow Grange Hotel, you know. These rooms don't come cheap. I didn't want to sleep here.
That's a horrible thing to say.
Is it? Oh, well, I'm only joking. I'm renowned in Westminster for my sense of humour. And for my enormous majority. And for my incredible virility. And Vicky, this isn't a one-nighter. This is a first-nighter. I love you. I've loved you ever since the Sloaney Girl Temp Bureau sent you into my life. Yesterday.
Do you really mean that?
Of course I do. How was it for you?
How was what? Oh, that. Well, it was, different.
Really? In what way different? Sexier? Chunkier? Bigger?
Quicker.
Yes, because it was quick. I mean, I'm a busy man. I don't have time to waste. Besides, what is this obsession with quantity over quality? I mean, orgasm is the objective, isn't it? Magazines my wife reads are full of articles about how to have orgasms. But why they're printing them in Farmers Weekly is beyond me. Well, I've never had any problem on the climax front. Whoops, I've just another one. Wonder what's on the telly.
Alan, did you really mean it when you said you loved me?
Oh, of course. Well, when I said I loved you, I really meant it.
Only I've never been to bed with a married man before. Well, not unless you count Daddy.
This is my favourite dad.
Alan, I'm so glad you do love me, because I forgot to tell you I'm not on the pill. Well, I was on the pill, but then I put on 2 stone, got spots, and no one fancied me. Oh, Alan, what would you do if I got pregnant?
Oh, well, I'd leave my wife and marry you, of course. Thanks for keeping the place, Piers. Overslept. You know what it's like when you're in the sack all night, boffing some insatiable little sex pot. And, of course, you wouldn't know what that's like at all, would you?
Hey, bastard, there is a queue here, you know.
It's all right, Crippen. It's an airliner, not a corporation tram. There are plenty of seats for everyone. Though why you're going to a conference on farming is beyond me. You represent an inner-city slum, don't you?
Even my constituents are allowed to eat.
Are they? What a shame.
If this terminal wasn't patrolled by heavily armed members of your anti-terrorist squad, I'd give you a good smack for that.
Well, there you are, you see. There's the voice of the modern Labour Party. Thinly veiled political thuggery.
Do you like hospital food, pal?
I love it, but then, of course, I'm in Bupa. Oh, good morning.
Good morning. And your passport, please, Herr Bastard.
I'm sure I had it last night.
I'm afraid there's rather a long queue. Would you mind stepping aside?
Yes, as Hitler said to Chamberlain before he invaded Poland. Listen, my dear, I am Alan Bastard, MP. I've got the largest majority in the House of Commons, and I'm attending a conference on a subject very close to the German soul, namely pig meat. I don't need a passport. We won the war.
And much good it did you. Next, please.
Look, Fräulein, I can vouch for him.
Yes, and who will vouch for you?
Oh, well, Alan will vouch for me. Right, that's it. I demand to see the airport manager, or the airport Führer, or whatever you call him.
I'm afraid Mr. Goering is unavailable. He is busy pillaging the art galleries of Eastern Europe. Smoking or non-smoking?
Perhaps it's in your case. What? Your passport? No. Oh, God. I must have left it at home in Yorkshire. Damn.
Well, at least have a look.
No, it's not in here.
Well, it might be. I'm always losing things and finding them in unexpected places.
Yes, that's because you're a congenital idiot, Piers.
100,000 shares in Ocelot Motors. I can't believe it.
At today's share price, you're virtually a millionaire. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer person.
Yes, it could. But I'm glad it didn't. I hardly even knew Uncle Luke. I never imagined he was still alive.
He isn't.
No, of course not. Poor old Stiffy. Where are you going?
To work, darling. I mean, we don't all have dead Uncle Lukes, and I am still Alan's political agent.
You won't be when I've finished with him.
What on earth do you mean by that?
I can afford to leave him now. A nice, messy divorce with lots of unwelcome publicity for him.
Aren't you being a little vindictive, darling?
Yeah, he deserves it. He cheats on me.
We cheat on him.
That's different. We love each other.
And then, when they found out that Pia's AIDS test was positive, they sent us all home. Yes, that's the one. Of course, it's simple. Like Pia's.
Mwah! Now, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
What's Alan doing back so early from the conference? Well, you're not going to believe this. But last month, we all had routine blood tests, and Pia's, of all people, turns out to be a raving...
You left it in your bedside drawer.
Oh, I know about that, darling. Under the March 1987 amendment to the European Community Travel Agreement, members of Parliament on official business don't actually need to carry the passport.
Shut up, Alan. I'm not Piers. I mean, why don't you just admit that you spent last night in some airport hotel with some little typist for whom I feel nothing but the deepest pity?
I see. Well, if you prefer to think the worst, Sarah, rather than listen to my perfectly logical explanation, quite frankly, I don't know how this marriage is going to survive.
It isn't. I've just inherited £1 million, and I'm going to divorce you.
Yes?
Edwina Curry likes it hot and spicy. That's the password, isn't it? You've only been real crap, Ronnie.
Of course. That's the whole object of the exercise.
How do you mean?
Well, it's all a matter of perception. You see a clapped-out ambulance immobilised by vindictive traffic wardens. I see 100 square feet of prime office space in Park Lane, £50 a day and no rate. Now, about your divorce.
Are you wearing makeup?
Just a hint of mascara.
That's very nice. It suits you. Sorry, go on, Norman.
Well, as soon as you told me about the divorce, I transferred all your assets to the one country where even the bank accounts of known criminals are safe from official scrutiny.
Vatican City.
Precisely. So your wife won't be able to get her hands on a penny.
Well, that's very good, Norman, but the problem isn't my money. You see, Sarah has inherited a major stake in Ocelot Motors. That's why she can afford to divorce me.
I see. Well, if she's not after your money, it doesn't matter if she leaves you, does it? And if I were your wife...
Listen, I am only MP for Halton Price because Sarah's father controls the local Conservative Party. The second we're divorced, I'll be out on my arse, with about as much chance of finding another seat as a deaf kid in a game of musical chairs.
I see. It's serious, then. And I suppose you want me to come up with some ingenious solution.
And I suppose you want me to continue paying for your sex change treatment.
Has she actually got the shares in her possession yet?
I don't think so. Her uncle died abroad, so there's all the legal formalities to go through.
Good. Gives you a little time.
To do what?
It's obvious. Destroy the company.
Look, drink a bottle of gin and have a very hot bath. And if that doesn't work, then call me tomorrow. No, of course I don't love you. Grow up, Victoria. Where have you been? I sent you to the library an hour ago. Have you been wasting your time voting?
Sorry, Alan. The photocopy machine broke down and I had to wait for the man.
Well, you should have copied it out by hand then, shouldn't you? Come on, give.
Look, Alan, I'm not your servant, you know.
If you were, I would have sacked you years ago.
Do you think I could have a drink?
I don't see why not. Just make sure you're back from the bar by 11. I might need you. Let's see, Ocelot. Company report 1986-87. Profits up 34%. Dividends up 42%. Exports up 61%. Workforce up by 3,500.
Makes you proud to be British, doesn't it?
Shut up, Piers. No strike agreement extended for a further 5 years. God, it'd be easier to bankrupt Jeffrey Archer.
Listen to this. The latest Ocelot 3.8 turbo supercat built at their new £200 million factory in Bramall is a world beater. My test model sleekly muscled its way from 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds. Gosh, I wish I had one.
What are you talking about?
Oh, no. It's not me. It's Annika Rice, writing in this issue of Yappie Car. I wish I was a Yappie. What does Yappie actually mean, Alan?
Yuppie, Piers, is short for useless pill. So you are one already, aren't you? Congratulations.
Don't be so spiteful, Alan.
Wait a minute. Where did you say that Ocelot had built their new factory?
Not telling you.
Ow! No, please! There it is. Bramall. Bramall? But that's in Cribbins's constituency. Piers, you're a genius. Come on, we're going to break into the Prime Minister's office. Right.
No. I draw the line there, Alan. I know you talk me into all sorts of things because I'm frightened of you, but I'm more frightened of her.
Piers, if you help me, I'll get you one of those new Ocelot supercats.
Really? Do you promise?
No. But I promise that if you don't help me, I won't get you one. Piers! Stop tiptoeing along like Wee Willie Winky. It's all right, we're not trespassing.
Yet?
Look, it's perfectly safe. She's in Washington for the state unveiling of Reagan's new nose.
What if we bump into someone else?
This time of night, we're not going to bump into anybody.
Where do you gentlemen think you're going?
We're not going anywhere near the Prime Minister's office, if that's what you're thinking.
We're just taking an evening stroll, drinking in the historic ambiance.
Yes, well, I shall have to ask you to identify yourself, sir. Several ministerial offices on this floor. Can't be too careful.
I completely understand.
You're Alan Bastard.
Bastard?
You're the member who got that bill through arming us police, aren't you?
Indeed, I'm proud to say that it was I. And it wasn't an easy job. But I felt you chaps needed the tools to finish your work.
Yes, well, I'm a big fan of yours, sir. If I shook you by the hand, would it be a terrible liberty?
Yes, it would, but perhaps this once. And this is Mr. Fletcher Dervish, who helped draft the bill. Possibly the finest legal brain in this corridor at the moment.
Real honour, sir.
Oh, is it?
Tell me, officer, do you find the gun makes a great deal of difference to your work?
Oh, revelation, sir, revelation. I mean, take last Saturday. Yeah. A mate of mine on the Met was policing the Chelsea match. Some hooligan threw a bottle on the pitch, so he draws his piece and blows him all across the half-time scoreboard. A splat. Yeah, wasn't no trouble after that, sir. Oh, yes, you've done us bobbies a right favour. I mean, in this day and age, who needs a truncheon?
Right.
Though, the wife likes it, mine, when I'm on nights. Something for her to grab hold of. If she thinks she is an intruder.
Oh. Tell me, officer, since we're such kindred spirits, I wonder if you could do me a little favour.
If I can, sir?
Well, it's not really for me, it's for Mr. Fletcher Dervish. You see, he's never been inside a ministerial office, and unlike me, he's never likely to get the chance to do so. So, if you could just let him peek inside one, you know, needn't be anything grand, agriculture, fish and food, or, God, Northern Ireland even.
Well, I don't know, sir. I shouldn't leave my post.
Well, I'll keep an eye out for you. Hmm?
All right, Mr. Bastard, as it's you. Right, now, this particular part was structured in 1744. Around the corner here, we have a broom cupboard that was originally Lord Palmerston's cars.
many times the Minister denies it.
And he will.
I have it here in black and blue. And on the Prime Minister's very own note paper, I quote, Mr. Speaker, "My government fully supports the proposal of the Board of Ocelot Motors to de-unionise their factories and reduce wages by 30% to ensure price competitiveness into the next decade."
I don't know where the Honourable Member for Bramhall obtained this ridiculous piece of misinformation.
And I'm not telling you, pal.
But it is clearly a forgery.
Mr. Speaker, the government quite clearly wants us to believe that it is a forgery. But I'm sure I speak for all members on this side of the House when I demand a full public inquiry.
No, not a public inquiry. Not for 10 years. This isn't going badly enough, Piers.
Do I have a choice of colour?
What?
My new Ocelot Supercat.
Oh, shut up. Shout outrageous, Piers. Outrageous, Piers!
But some public-spirited employee at Ocelot has had the decency to leak this letter to me, and I will not betray his trust.
Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Mr. Speaker. Order.
Mr. Starr, I will briefly yield to the honourable member for Halton Price, Mr. Speaker, because it's always interesting to hear the crypto-fascist ravings of the loony right. Although I doubt that even he can worm his way out of this scandalous conspiracy.
Order. Au contraire, Mr. Speaker. Which I translate as "that's what you think," for the benefit of the member for Bramhall, who probably never went to school. And I'm sure that I speak for all members of this side of the House when I say that we are sick and tired of this sort of lefty trot whinging. I mean, it's, with the greatest respect, it is not as if the average car worker has the taste or intelligence to spend his outrageously high weekly pay packet on anything more worthwhile than pigeons and whippets and brown ale and oven-ready chips.
Mr. Speaker, that is outrageous. I myself am a member of the National Union of Car Workers, and I have the privilege to represent that body in this august chamber. But because of him, I shall demand that the Executive Committee recommend a secret ballot for industrial action to be taken unless the scumbag opposite does not withdraw that
Industrial action. Mr. Crippin's answer to everything. Here we are, dealing with a man whose family history shows that he's related to a very dubious member of the medical profession.
That's it, I shall demand a strike of all car workers in Britain as from Monday, unless Bastard withdraws that vicious slander.
Keep your hair on, Crippin.
Financial Times?
Of course.
The stock exchange has suspended dealing in Ocelot shares, so I suppose Sarah won't be divorcing you now.
So what?
Well, you did say you'd get me an Ocelot Supercat if I helped you.
Well, you actually believed me.
Well, I did at the time. I suppose I'm really rather stupid.
Yes, you are, Piers. Very stupid. Very loyal. There she is.
It's super.
Thank you, Alan. My pleasure. No touching, please. I'm sorry I couldn't get you a black one, Piers, but they don't seem to be making very many at the moment. Well, go on, get in. Try to have the size.
The door won't open, Alan. Wonderful. That's lovely. You really didn't need to, you know.
Well, of course I did, Piers.
You've been my loyal and devoted servant. It's the very least I could do. I just don't know how to thank you.
Well, don't thank me. Thank Hertz. I gave him your credit card number. It's £150 a day, or £975 for the whole week.
You bastard, Alan!
Bastard.
In the afternoon.
Oh, God.
And now the conference. Your constituency association has tabled a motion about privatisation, so you'll be expected to make a speech. Oh, and Alan, will you please take your hand out from under my skirt?
Oh, Beatrice, why be so hard on yourself? You know you want me.
Alan, concentrate on the matter in hand.
I love it when you talk dirty.
Look, I'm attracted to you, Alan. Of course I am.
Well, who isn't?
But it would never work. I mean, what about Sarah?
Sarah?
Yes, my old school friend, Sarah. You must remember Sarah.
Yeah.
You're married to her.
Oh, Sarah! Well, actually, Beatrice, it's interesting because Sarah would actually be happy if we were having an affair. She's never really been interested in sex. Frigid little cow, really. Not like you. Come on. Let's do it. Let's do it now, under the desk.
Alan, have you seen the whip?
Bless you, Piers.
Oh, but I didn't sneeze.
I mean, you're not ill.
Was I interrupting something, Alan?
No, it's all right, Piers. You're as welcome as Geoffrey Archer at the Daily Star Christmas party.
Oh, well, that's all right, then.
I thought you were supposed to be visiting Sir Stephen in hospital.
Oh, well, I did, but I didn't want to stay too long. The poor old chap was looking a bit weak and weary.
Oh, he's back to normal, then?
Well, I suppose so. He's planning on discharging himself tomorrow.
Really? After a prostate operation? That'll be a medical first.
I'm sorry, Alan, I don't understand.
It's not your fault, Piers. It's the centuries of inbreeding. So, have you found yourself a pretty little bed warmer for the party conference, then?
What do you mean?
Well, Beatrice was just offering to share her suite with me at the Imperial Hotel.
Why? Are you both on a diet?
No, her hotel suite. God, if your IQ was any lower, you'd need watering, wouldn't you?
Are you talking about illicit sex?
Yes, yes. Illicit sex. The best sort.
Alan, it is not normal for a man to go chasing after every woman he sees. Homo sapien is naturally monogamous. Naturally monogamous.
Where are you getting these 5 guinea words? Anything more than 2 syllables and you normally have to have a lie down.
Well, you know Sir Stephen is the chairman of the Campaign for Moral Regeneration.
No, I didn't know that. Mind, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's a fine old English tradition, isn't it? Once you're too old and decrepit to do it yourself, you start a committee to stop everyone else doing it.
How dare you? Sir Stephen and Lady Rosemary have been happily married for 47 years.
Happily? Well, then why is he lying in hospital, minus his prostate? I'll tell you why. Lack of use. I'm not letting mine go rusty.
You're morally bankrupt, Alan.
Oh, that's rich, isn't it? Coming from someone whose father was actually convicted of sheep worrying.
It wasn't Daddy's fault. It was a regimental tradition.
Oh, really? Really? Well, then why did they ask for 17 other animals to be taken into consideration?
That's right, pour scorn, that's what you always do. Well, I don't care. This once great nation is reeling under a vicious onslaught of smut and filth, Sir Stephen said, and it's up to us to do something about it.
Well, you don't actually mean you've joined this absurd campaign?
Yes.
But Piers, it'll be full of repressed old blue-rinsed virgins in K-skips and support hose. And the women will be even worse.
There's a campaign meeting tomorrow afternoon. You really ought to attend for your own good.
Oh, no. Not me. I'm a libertarian. If there's a demand for pornography and people prepared to meet that demand, then who are we to stand in the way of market mechanisms? That, Piers Fletcher Dervish, is the slippery road towards socialism.
Well, if you really believe that, then there's no more to be said.
Good.
Good. But I'm sure if you saw the sort of obscene films we have to sit through at campaign meetings, you'd be as disgusted as I am.
Filthy films.
Awful, vile films. I mean, for instance, tomorrow, we're going to have to endure Snow White and the 7 Perverts. It makes me shudder just to think of it.
What time tomorrow?
Girls, the light switch, if you please. Well, there we have it. Snow White and the 7 Perverts. And to think I left my sickbed for that. I have no words to express my abhorrence for this hateful film. But if there are any comments...
Excuse me, Sir Stephen, but on a point of information, I haven't seen Snow White since Nanny took me to the Devizes Gaumont. I think it was Christmas 1961. But I'm sure there wasn't a dwarf called Nobby.
Thank you, Piers. Any other observations? No? Well, I think this may be a convenient moment to adjourn for a cup of good, honest tea, to wash the taste of decadence out of our mouths. Now, we'll reconvene in 20 minutes to look at the pornographic photographs kindly lent by the Metropolitan Police Commissioner from his personal collection. No, I'm sorry. I mean pictures personally lent by the Commissioner from the Metropolitan Police's collection. 20 minutes, then.
Alan Bastard, rising star of the New Right. Good morning. What do you want? Really? You can get 3,000 copies. All personally signed by Peter Wright. Oh, well, it sounds like a marvellous investment, Norman, but unfortunately, I've only just exchanged contracts on the new massage parlour, so I really don't have 50 grand to rub together, as it were. I suppose I could sell Sarah's jewels. Hang on, there's someone at the door. I've got to go back. Enter. Do I know you?
We haven't actually met. Virginia Emery.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote to you. I'm a constituent.
Ah, well, that's where the problem is. I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. I don't speak to constituents. Good morning.
But you invited me to see you, Sir Stephen.
Oh, Lady Virginia. Oh, excuse me, I'm awfully sorry. How embarrassing. Pressure of work. Please, forgive me. Sit down, sit down, sit down. Now then, you wrote to me about publishing a book.
Yes. I must say, I thought you'd be older.
Yes, they do say I have a wisdom and a gravity which belies my youth. But about your book?
Hardly a book, really. It's more of a pamphlet.
Hmm? Sex is wrong. It's an arresting title.
Thank you. Of course, I don't mean that sex is wrong in all circumstances. For the purposes of procreating the human race and within the sanctity of holy wedlock, I suppose it is permissible.
Yes, I'm sure. And you were hoping that I could get this little pamphlet printed for you?
Well, you did say you'd try. In your letter. As chairman of the campaign.
Oh, yes, of course. And, it just so happens I have recently joined the board of a little firm of publishers dedicated to producing works of a morally uplifting nature, and, do you know, I think I could probably persuade them to issue a limited edition of your essay.
Oh, that's wonderful, Sir Stephen.
Yes, it is, isn't it? However, they are a charitable, non-profit-making foundation, and as such, it is usual for the author to make a nominal contribution towards the printing costs.
Oh, yes, of course, I quite understand.
Well, what should we say, then? 50 pence a copy at a print run of, what, 2,000?
Yes, all right. Sounds most reasonable.
Good. And if we hurry, we may just have it printed in time to be on sale at the Conservative Party conference.
Oh, that's splendid. I'm very grateful. Of course, sadly, I can't attend the conference myself. I'm a tiny bit phobic where crowds are concerned.
Oh, good. Grief, how awful. Well, Lady Virginia, I suppose the best thing is if you let me have a cheque.
What, right away?
Well, there's no time to lose, my dear.
I'm in your hands. Payable to Sir Stephen Baxter?
Oh, good Lord, no. We must make it out to the charity. And the charity is the Christian Approach to Society Handbooks.
I don't think I could squeeze all that in.
It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Well, shall we just put the initials then? Pay C-A-S-H, £1,000. That's lovely. Thank you so much, Lady Virginia. Well, I must get on. I'm a very busy man. You don't mind showing yourself out, do you? There's a policeman outside the door. He'll show you where the street is. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, hello? Is that Horny Person Publications? Yes, this is Mr. Allen speaking. That's right, the publisher of Big Wobblers. Listen, do you think you could do a rush job for me? Yeah, well, it's a sort of religious tract with some rather unusual illustrations in it. Are they hot? Well, let's just say I'll be sending them to you in an asbestos envelope. Children who develop a morbid interest in their private parts should have their hands bound at bedtime. This is not the work of a well woman. Excuse me, this is a Tory table. The Labourites sit over there in the draft. You deaf? Oh, you are? Oh. Oh, Sir Stephen, over here. Sit down. You mustn't overtire yourself. Can I get you a drink?
Thank you.
Large wink harness?
No, I need something stronger. Double whiskey and ginger ale.
Fine. And I'll have a large Armagnac, please, Pierce. What? It's your round.
Oh, is it? Right.
Oh, no. I feel quite distressed after that disgusting film.
Yes. It must be awful for a man in your condition. Rather like having your stomach removed than being led round Harrod's food hall. Where are the drinks, Pierce?
Oh, the drinks. I knew there was something. And, Alan, there's definitely not a dwarf called Horny.
Sir Stephen, I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but in the hour since I left your meeting, I've had a profound spiritual experience.
Oh, really?
I got back to my office, and I found this waiting for me.
Virginia Imrie. Now, that name rings a distant bell.
That is a name that will ring bells across the countryside in years to come. Church bells.
Here we are. 3 halves of shandy.
We'd be better off with a performing seal, really, wouldn't we?
Sex is wrong. That's what my fiancé's always saying.
Sex without marriage is a mortal sin, and yet sex within marriage is an enemy to domestic harmony. This is the work of a genius. She sums up my last 47 years in a nutshell.
I know. It's brilliant. We must find a way to disseminate it.
Here, we must bring this message of hope to a wider audience.
I know. Why don't we run off some photocopies?
God, shame on you, Piers. When Moses went up Mount Sinai to collect the 10 Commandments, did he say, "Oh, cheers, Lord, I'll run off a few photocopies"? No, he didn't, did he? He went away and he wrote the Bible. The greatest book in the history of books. We must give Sex is Wrong the greatest presentation we can possibly afford.
You mean we must send it to a publisher?
No. I mean that we, as the Campaign for Moral Regeneration, should publish it ourselves.
Ah, but won't that be frighteningly expensive?
Well, interestingly enough, no. I took the liberty of telephoning an old established firm of printers who specialise in works of devotional nature. And they said that they could get us 2,000 bound copies by next week at £1 apiece.
Oh!
And just to show my sincerity, I am prepared to put up half of the publishing costs.
Bravo!
But half of £2,000 is... .005738.9.
Thank you, Nigel Lawson.
What do you think?
Not a bad display, Piers. That's better. What do you think?
£10? But I thought you said the printers charged £1 a copy. Does this mean the campaign will make a profit?
Oh, I doubt it very much, Piers. Not once we take off the transportation costs.
Yes, but you brought them up in your own car.
Listen, Piers, if you were successful enough to own a Bentley, then you'd know how expensive they are to run, wouldn't you?
Alan, why did the printer wrap them in this plastic stuff?
It's to stop them having babies. Oh, my God. Piers, call me Sir Stephen.
Well, how can I? He's in London. He's had a relax.
Oh, shut up. Listen. For some reason, this poor unworldly girl seems to think I'm Sir Stephen Baxter.
Why?
Well, because I told her I was.
But you're not.
Lady Virginia! What a pleasant surprise. I thought you weren't coming to the conference.
I wasn't. But I simply had to see my little work in print.
Well, in that case, I'll send a copy straight round to your hotel. You see, the thing is, the conference is about to break for coffee, and any second now, this vestibule is going to be swarming with people.
Oh, well then, perhaps I will just slip away.
In fact, Piers will show you to the taxi rank. Where's Piers? Well, I wonder where he can be. I don't know, you put your name down to speak, and then when the time comes...
Alan, where have you been? You're supposed to be speaking.
Alan?
No.
You told me you were Sir Stephen Baxter.
Oh, did he?
No, don't look.
Oh, my God!
Oh, my God!
I can explain everything. It's Piers's fault.
For the final time, Mr. Alan Muscat, please.
Goodbye.
Just you wait till Mrs. Thatcher hears about this.
Well, why should the royal family be dependent on state salaries? If their ancient lands and rights were restored, they could live with dignity from their rents, as a great feudal family should. Now, that is what I mean by privatising the monarchy. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, fellow Conservatives, Norman, Cecil, Geoffrey. Before I begin, I feel I must say, and I'm sure I speak for all of us here, how very much I admired the last speaker. A credit to her family, to conservatism, and indeed to private education. For I hazard that she doesn't attend a comprehensive in the People's Republic of Brent. But to the meat of the motion. Denationalisation. Now, I will take the liberty of reinterpreting the motion. For when I hear the word denationalisation, I don't think about the flotation of the shipbuilding industry. No. I think about the dilution of our national spirit. The loss of our very nationhood. And who is it that is behind this loss of nationhood? Why, the peddlers of pornography. Our once great nation is reeling under a vicious onslaught of smut and filth. But we need guidance in our battle against this tide of filth. And thank God, guidance exists. Sex is Wrong by Lady Virginia Imrie. This book pulls no punches. The text is forthright, and the full-colour photographs, frankly, shocking in their sexual explicitness. I consider myself to be a man of the world, and yet there are acts illustrated within this book of such depraved complexity that, frankly, it took my breath away. And the picture on page 17 caused me to telephone the RSPCA immediately. And for a mere £10. And after all, what is £10 to people like us? Half-decent cigar, a week's social security for a family of gypsies. And I know which I'd prefer. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Where on earth can I get a copy? Well, thank God! They're on sale in the vestibule now. If you care about Britain, put your hand in your pocket and buy one. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, here they are. Ready for everybody. Page 14. Yes, page 1. It's most disgusting towards the end. That's where the rubber stuff is, yes. Oh, dear, that'll be Beatrice, I suppose. God, it's so inevitable.
May I come in?
Unfortunately, I'm naked underneath this bathrobe, so...
That's all right. I'm sure I'm perfectly safe with a moral crusader like you, Sir Stephen.
Look, please don't tell Mrs. Thatcher. I can explain everything.
I don't care. When I saw you up on that platform making that wonderful speech and filling that hall with moral fervour, I felt a strange desire within me. A strange longing I'd never felt before.
Be more specific.
You must know that you're a very attractive, charismatic man.
Yes, I know that, yes.
Don't make me spell it out, Alan. I know what I want to do is wrong, but I just don't care.
Does this mean that you don't want your £1,000 back?
It means I intend to get my money's worth.
I think I've just experienced a sudden swing to the right. Here's 10 pence for a cup of tea.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Norman. Norman.
Oh, fuck here!
This had better be very important, Norman. I have just ruined an 800 guineas suit.
That doesn't matter. We'll both soon be wearing government-issue suits with big arrows all over them.
Norman, you're touching me. Calm down and tell me what the problem is.
We've got to get rid of that plutonium oxide in Hull, because it is deadly radioactive poison. And you know what that means. Life imprisonment!
Beg pardon?
They are going to knock down the lock-up garage in Pilchard Street, Hull.
Well, whose idea was it to put the stuff there?
Yours! The whole deal was your idea. Storing nuclear waste was going to be a growth industry, you said.
Well, I was right, wasn't I? General Galtieri paid us £55,000 to get rid of that tanker full of radioactive sludge.
He didn't pay us. He paid you. And then you lumbered me with finding somewhere to put it.
Well, there you are, then. It's your fault.
All right, it's my fault. Now, what are we going to do?
We'll move it, of course.
Where to?
Well, I don't know. We'll find some other lock-up garage in some other rundown Labour-controlled inner city. There's plenty of them.
But we are talking about the most powerful poison known to man. What if something went wrong? I wouldn't be able to live with myself. No. I'd rather tell the authorities and take my punishment like a man.
Yeah, but you're not a man anymore, are you, Norman? I mean, you're not a proper man, are you? The Norman Borman of 1982 was all for the Argentinian deal, but ever since you've been having that hormone treatment, you've been growing all soft and sentimental.
Yes, I admit it. I'm proud to admit it. I'm becoming a woman. I'm growing more sensitive. Yes, it's true. Now, what about the nuclear waste?
Well, I'll think of something, Norman, don't worry. Oh, Norman, don't cry, please. I can't bear to see a grown transsexual cry.
Alan! You're filthy.
I'm surprised you can remember Sarah. It's been such a long time.
Run along and change. Daddy's here. He's staying for a bite to eat.
Oh, God.
Daddy, you fancy a top-up?
Is the Pope Polish?
Well, this is a pleasant surprise, Roland.
No need to lie, Bastard. You're not in Parliament now. You look as though you've been down a coal mine.
Oh, this? This is called designer dribbles. It's all the rage in London.
Is it? Wouldn't put it past those metropolitan pansies. Thank you, madame.
Well, let's make a start. Charcuterie, Daddy.
Shark?
Charcuterie. Cold meats. You know, it's a French word.
Oh, French. Might have guessed. You should know I never touch anything French. The last time I touched something French was in 1940. Her name was Giselle. I was pissing glass for a month.
And they say the art of dinner table conversation is dying out.
The ham's Danish, actually.
Still European, though, isn't it? Factory farm, saturated with phosphates and hormones, 2 mouthfuls and you grow tits.
That's sincere, Daddy.
French again. I dare say it's 50% vinegar and 50% Jacques Chirac's brilliantine, but I'll give it a try. I was right.
It's always such a pleasure when you drop by, Roland. Helps keep me in mind with what people are thinking, to use the word loosely here in the constituency.
If you ever showed your smug little face in this town, you'd know what they were thinking. They're thinking their MP's forgotten where his constituency is.
I was elected to serve, Halton Price at Westminster, not to run the local Citizens Advice Bureau.
You were elected because you're my son-in-law and I'm the chairman of the local Conservative Party. Don't you forget it.
Perhaps you'd like some cheese, Daddy.
Oh, yes, do have some fromage. We have plenty of brie or camembert or Pont l'Evêque.
Or some fruit.
Yes, a French golden delicious.
Haven't you got anything South African?
I think I got an outspanned grapefruit in the larder. I'll just go and get it.
Now, to the purpose of my visit.
Yes, enough of the social pleasantries.
The annual village fete will be held next Sunday in my grounds at Ingleborough Hall.
Well, it's very short notice, Roland, but luckily I am free.
You don't think I'm going to ask you to open the fete, do you?
Well, naturally, I am the Member of Parliament.
And you'd milk the occasion for tawdry personal profit as you did last year. By the time you'd finished your party political broadcast, it was dark. No. We've got Ronald McGill to do the honours.
Ronald McGill? From Emmerdale Farm? Oh, it's wonderful.
Wait a minute. Did you mean to say you were getting some rustic to open the fete instead of me?
Oh, silly Alan. Emmerdale Farm's a television programme. Ronald McGill plays Amos Brearley. Oh, that's jolly exciting, Daddy.
Oh, well, thank you for that vote of confidence, Sarah. I'll remember next time you want to go to London to rape Harrods.
If she wants to, you can afford it. Nouveau riche little parvenu like you.
Oh, I see. You don't mind using French words when they please you, do you?
Are they French words? I didn't know that. Bugger if I'll use them again.
And then, a week after I topped him, some other fella confesses to the murder. Ah, well, that's the way it goes. You can't make an omelette without breaking necks. Oh, hello, sir. I was just reminiscing about the good old days.
Really? I suppose you consider killing my father-in-law, will you? You know, just to keep your hand in. Cash job.
Oh, Gidley Part's always been a cantankerous old bugger, so you don't want to worry about him.
I wouldn't worry about him if he was dead. Mind you, hanging's too good for him, really, isn't it? I suppose you could arrange to have him torn limb from limb between 2 teams of dray horses. It'd be good publicity for the brewery, isn't it?
That's very imaginative, sir. I can see you'd have loved it in the good old days when hanging was reserved for minor misdemeanors. Now, your hardened criminals, now they were hung, drawn and quartered. That is to say, sir, they used to hang them up, cut them down while they were still kicking, draw the entrails out of them with hooks, cut the body into 4 pieces and then stick the head on a pole as a deterrent. All that, of course, was done in public.
Must have been a lovely day out for the family.
Oh, by the way, sir, if you're eating tonight, the special is stuffed hard.
No, thank you, Sidney. I'll just stick to the brandy.
Half a mile.
Vernon.
Hey up, are you Alan Bastard, the Member of Parliament?
Bastard. When Mr. Bastard is in here, Vernon, he is off duty.
Well, if you ask me, he's always off bloody duty. So the night my little grandson asked me what mythological meant. Oh, I said it's some fabulous non-existent creature like a unicorn. Or our MP, Mr. Bastard.
I'm terribly sorry about this, sir. Shall I eject him?
No, that's all right, Sidney. Let's hear him out. And then throw him out. All right, then, you odiferous little prole. You've got 1 minute.
Right. What have you ever done for this constituency? You or your party?
What have I ever done? People have never been so well off. All my friends drive BMWs and they're making a fortune.
I'm talking about proper industry with proper jobs. I can remember when Britain was the workshop of the world, but you heartless new money Tories don't give a tinker's cuss about manufacturing.
That is a baseless slander. I buy British. I drive a Bentley. My suits, my shirts and my shoes are all handmade by British craftsmen, albeit with Greek surnames.
I'm talking about proper jobs. I can remember when we had the most profitable coal mine in the whole of Yorkshire.
A coal mine? Here?
Aye, but you wouldn't know that, would you, you Tory rag?
Sydney, why don't I know about this coal mine?
Oh, well, it closed after the 1926 general strike, sir, and nobody knows to this day why it never reopened.
Well, let me get this straight. You're saying that there's a large, unused hole very near here?
Oh, so they say, sir.
Where is it?
Oh, don't ask me, sir. It's a bit before my time.
Well, who would know then, Sydney?
Well, the owner, of course.
But the general strike was in 1926. Is the owner still alive?
Yes, but he wouldn't be if you had your way, sir. It's your father-in-law.
Are you sure there isn't a spare key to this contraption?
Well, you look like a chap who could do justice to a single malt.
Make that a double single malt.
Well, what have you two been chatting about?
Daddy thinks it's high time we started a family.
Right you are, father-in-law. We'll get right down to it the moment you leave.
Oh.
Mud in your eye?
Bastard, you're after something.
No. Just trying to be pleasant. Make up for my appalling behaviour in storming out earlier on. Darling, I've bought you a present. It's in the garden.
No, really?
So, Roland. Daddy. Good scotch?
Yeah, not bad.
It's a 25-year-old Glenodal. They only make a couple of thousand cases every 6th year, so really at £63 a bottle, it's a snip.
Well, I was right. You have to be a nouveau riche little parvenu to be able to afford the stuff, huh?
You know, I've been mulling over your criticisms of my parliamentary profile, and you're right. I've been spending too much time at Westminster and not enough time at my constituency.
You know, Bastard, perhaps you're not quite the unmitigated worm I've always thought.
So, wearing my constituency hat, I'd like to ask you why Ingleborough Colliery never reopened after the general strike.
Ingleborough Colliery?
Yeah, don't you remember? You own it, apparently.
Oh, the colliery? Oh, that was years ago. General strike.
Go on.
Well, I was only 21. Father had just died, and the workforce was riddled with communists. So, as the new young master, I had to take contingency plans to deal with the threat of revolution.
Of course, of course. But that doesn't explain why the mine never reopened after the strike was crushed.
Well, it was a long dispute, you see, and unfortunately mine workings deteriorate rapidly if they're not maintained. So, by the time we'd starved the men back to work, there wasn't any work for them to shuffle back to.
How funny. Just as a matter of local historical interest, where was the mine, actually?
Hereabouts.
Whereabouts, exactly?
Why don't you concentrate on Westminster and stop poking your nose into local affairs?
I can't find my present.
Oh, there wasn't one. It was a joke. Ha ha. Norman, you're looking quite curvaceous.
Thank you, darling.
And you can cut that right out.
I hope to, in due course. And when I'm a woman, the authorities won't be able to touch me. Unless they ask me nicely. Look, I've located the mine on this old map. Now, I've checked the 1982 version, and there doesn't seem to have been any building above the mine.
Splendid.
Of course, we ought to contact the county council, see if there's been development in the last few years.
Oh, yes, that's a good idea, yes. And then we could issue a press release, couldn't we, saying that Alan Bastard, MP, is about to dump 1,000 gallons of radioactive slurry in an area of designated natural beauty.
Sorry, darling.
Come on, let's get going. We've got a long drive ahead of us. Get off!
Oh.
This is it. Right, we're going to need the serious bolt cutters. Thank you. Let's nuke the gates, I suppose.
We can't dump it here.
Why not?
Because the mine runs under a school. That's why not. You can't dump nuclear fuel under an infant school.
It's only a council school.
Politics! Don't come into it. They are children.
Look, you old woman. If the British people have just voted for an independent nuclear deterrent, then they should be proud to have British nuclear waste under their schools.
But this will not to the nuclear waste.
Well, then it's probably less radioactive. I mean, the Argies aren't as efficient as we are they, Norman?
No! I'm sorry, Alan, but I draw the line. You are on your own.
You walk out on me now, Norman Borman, and you can whistle for the money for the rest of your sex change.
Well, I don't suppose I need your money anymore. The gamma rays coming off this truck, I wouldn't be at all surprised if I changed species, let alone gender.
Norman, be reasonable.
Job doesn't call for reason. This calls for a mindless psychopath.
Right.
I wouldn't mind if I wasn't paying the bill by the hour. Oh, hello, sir. Come in, come in. I'm afraid I can't sell you a drink, sir, or else I should get into hot water with the licensing magistrates. But then, of course, you know that being one of them.
Oh, stop gibbering, Sydney. I know you spend every afternoon in the company of Gina, busty Eurasian masseurs. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Isn't it?
Well, no, of course not. The girl's self-employed. She's doing a bit for Britain instead of lying around in bed all day.
But she does lie around in bed all day.
It's not her bed, is it?
Oh.
Now, Sydney, I'm going to confide in you.
Are you? Oh, thank you, sir.
Now, really, what I'm going to tell you shouldn't be known by anyone who hasn't signed the Official Secrets Act.
Oh, but I have signed it, sir. All us official executioners had to.
Did you? Oh, good. Well, then I can tell you. The Prime Minister has decided that the next vote on capital punishment will not be a free vote.
Oh, but that's wonderful, sir. That really is fantastic news. What does it mean, actually?
Well, Sydney, it means that this time next year, the prison population is going to start to drop very sharply. You get my drift.
You mean I'll get my old job back?
Who do you think is going to be the Minister for Death?
You, sir? Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, Sidney. So stick by me, and it'll be money for old Rope. Now then, coincidentally, Sidney, there's a little something that you could do for me.
If you don't mind my asking, sir, oh, dearie me, why are we dumping beer in a disused coal mine? Unless, of course, it isn't beer.
I can see you're not as stupid as you look, Sidney.
Oh, thank you, sir.
So, let me just say that what I don't tell you, the Russians can't torture out of you.
Got you, sir.
Right, Sidney, this is the plan. You shin down the ladder. I'll go and get the barrels of beer, drop them down to you, you catch them, and do the necessary.
I'm not going down there, sir, not even for you.
Why on earth not?
I'm afraid of depth, sir.
Afraid of what?
Depths, sir. Some people are afraid of heights. I'm afraid of depths. That's why all the barrels in my pub, sir, are under the counter, so that I don't have to go down into the cellar.
You're mad, aren't you?
Well, more you're neurotic rather than you're psychotic, sir. My psychotherapist says that it's all my subconscious guilt because of having to prepare all those people for the long drop.
All right, I'll do it myself. But I'm warning you, when the death penalty bill comes up for its third reading, I'm going to table an amendment in favour of the electric chair.
Oh, but you can't do that, sir. I don't know my AC from my DC.
Just get the barrels, Sidney. You're not afraid of barrels, are you? Danger, mustard gas, deadly poison. Best before December 1927.
As I told you, had to make contingency plans against the threat of revolution. But for £55,000, that's what the Argies paid you, isn't it? I'll show you my disused quarry.
Roland Gidley Park. You're a bigger bastard than I am.
Gotcha.
our most distinguished boy, Alan. We all knew you would go far.
Oh, God.
I remember the day when you first arrived at...
Ah, Lady Hamilton. Good.
Alan, long time no see.
Do I know you?
Laurence, Oakham, Martin, I used to be your fag.
Of course! Little Laurence. Well, what's become of you since school? No, don't tell me, don't tell me. Doorman at the Empire, Leicester Square. Now, with all this braid and everything, you must be at least senior doorman. Well, very well done, Laurence. I'll look you up the next time I'm in the market for 2 front row stalls.
Actually, old boy, the uniform denotes that I am president for life of the Republic of St. James.
Really? President for life? Gosh, that must pay awfully well.
Oh, it's only a very small, very poor island, Alan.
Yes, of course. All you third world countries are stony broke, aren't you? Doesn't seem to stop all you presidents for life running 17 wives and a fleet of Mercedes there.
Not me, old boy. 1 fiancée and a Sinclair C5.
All the other one has got a handmade shoe on.
Truly. We are poor because we don't have any banks, so it's very difficult for our farmers to obtain finance for their, unique tobacco exports.
Really? Well, it's been wonderful talking to you again, Lance. We really must do this every 12 years.
Can't you help us, Alan? As a member of Parliament? And for the sake of the old school.
No. I don't suppose that as the guest of honour I'm entitled to something slightly nicer than Cypriot Amontillado.
But our St. James tobacco is very, very special. At least try some. I suppose you could possibly lend me £1,000, could you? Only coming from a country that has no banks, it's very difficult to...
Certainly. So, with no more ado, I call upon the Member of Parliament for Halton Price, Yorkshire, Old Fiskian, and future Prime Minister, Alan Beresford Bastard.
Right. Why have I got the largest majority in the House of Commons? Huh? Easy. Because more people voted for me than for anybody else. They all put their little crosses in my box. It's pathetic, really, isn't it? The amount of people who can't write their own names properly. You see, that's why we need schools like this. To keep us away from them, you see? To stop them dragging us down to their level. So don't talk to me about the education crisis. Look around you at this beautiful school. Nothing wrong with the education system that £2,500 a term can't put right, is there? Ditto the so-called housing shortage. I mean, there are thousands of empty houses if you know where to look. The Algarve is empty 6 months of the year. You see, that's what this country needs, you see. Radical ideas shooting straight from the hip.
Thank you, Alan.
Which brings us on to the health service. I mean, we hear an awful lot of lefty whinging about the NHS waiting lists. Well, the answer's simple. Shut down the health service. Result, no more waiting lists. You see, in the good old days, you were poor, you got ill, and you died. And yet these days people seem to think they have some God-given right to be cured. And what is the result of this sloppy socialist thinking? More poor people. In contrast, my policies would eradicate poor people, thereby eliminating poverty. And they say that we Conservatives have no heart. Thank you very much. That's going to look marvellous in my garden.
The Telegraph loved your speech.
Really? Have you looked in the mirror?
Yeah, they weren't impressed. Take no notice of the tabloids. They
No, Norman, have you looked in the mirror? You look very peculiar.
I thought I looked rather good. I mean, this colour lipstick and my complexion...
Oh, shut up, Norman. It's not important. We're only talking about you. Now, what have you found out about St. James?
Right. St. James, Caribbean island, 37 square miles, capital St. James City.
An original mind at work there.
Population 9,200, president for life, the Honourable LFK Martin.
Really? Good grief. He was telling the truth.
Alan, what is this all about?
No, I met Oakham Martin yesterday at my old school founder's day. He used to be my fag.
They let black boys into your school?
Of course they did. It was a very liberal regime. As long as they had enough money to pay the school fees and didn't mind being called Velcro Head. I lent him £1,000.
Oh, well, presumably you made him put up his island as security.
No, I didn't. My memory of events is rather hazy, actually.
But why should the president of a sovereign nation-state be short of the necessary?
Well, it's a very small island. It's a very small island, apparently. They don't have any banks.
No banks?
No.
Now, that's very interesting.
Interesting? I was rigid with boredom. Explain.
Well, if there aren't any banks, then you ought to let him get you to start one. We could make millions.
Millions? That is my favourite number. Go on, go on.
Just hang on, let me just think this one through. Right. We offer high interest rates, no taxation, no exchange controls, and total confidentiality. Then, when you have ensnared a sufficient number of avaricious cretins...
Prudent investors.
...to deposit their ill-gotten gains...
Their hard-earned savings.
Well, then...
Yes?
Yes! Bingo! The bank goes out of business and all the money disappears.
Into my pocket. It's brilliant. Let's do it.
Now, what if Oakham Martin smells a rat?
No, don't worry about President Laurence. He's as bent as a tabloid journalist.
Now, Alan, where are you going to find a large number of stupid, greedy people rich enough to invest in a dubious scheme like this?
I've got the figures here. United Kingdom, 0.47%. Federal Republic of Germany, 0.85%. Israel, 0.7%. Iceland, 0.63%. Norway, 0.96%.
Yes, I've got the olive oil. Have you got the block and tackle? Right. Now, just remind me, it's the second left off the Streatham High Road. Yeah? OK, see you then.
Luxembourg, 1.25%. No, I will not give way to the honourable member for Halton Price. I've got a lot more statistics for this house.
This house doesn't want your statistics. This house needs your statistics like it needs another Guy Fawkes.
Italy, 0.75%. Holland, 0.89%. Denmark, 0.77%.
Oh, shut up. This is even more mind-numbing than the Eurovision Song Contest.
France.
Ah, you've said France. Sit down.
If I've said France twice, it's because it's a very important country.
Oh, ha, 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 ha. That's supposed to be a joke, isn't it? Except I don't notice Mr. Deputy Speaker doing much laughing, do you?
Order.
It is now 1 o'clock in the morning, and for the past 82 minutes, we have been listening to the honourable member for Birmingham Stechford, a depressingly dreary little constituency which he speaks admirably, droning on and on about how we don't give enough foreign aid. Well, I say we give too much. Particularly to tin-pot little dictators who aren't even decently grateful. If we have to give our money away to foreigners, then I say we should give it to pro-British tin-pot dictators. We should aid our allies. Like the brave little nation of St. James. This loyal little country which offered its services to Britain during the Falklands conflict.
Why don't you go live in the Falklands?
Oh, the Mogadon's worn off now, has it? The brave St. James in 1982 offered their island as a strategic staging post. That they proved to be in the wrong ocean wasn't their fault, but a cruel trick of geography. And yet, what do these proud people receive in terms of aid? Not a farthing. Not a farthing. And yet here is a struggling little country that has not taken the communist path. That, indeed, is so keen to encourage foreign investment that the Bank of St. James offers 25% interest, tax-free, on foreign deposits of £25,000. 25%? 25% tax-free?
25% tax-free? Is there any likelihood of them opening a branch in my constituency?
Mr. Catchpole, the trees don't have branches in your constituency. Sorry.
Very, very special.
Hi there. Sorry about that technical hitch, folks. No one got any chewing gum when you need it. Still within it to patch the leak, and we're airborne. My name is Bobby J. Hurst III, and I'm your captain. Our flight time to Hanoi today to St. James is about an hour. God bless you for flying Caribbean International Airways. God bless Mom and Dad, and God help President Reagan.
Sri Lanka is 7.6%. Guatemalan Airlines is 5.2%. But Aeroflot is only 0.3%, which I think is pretty impressive.
Really? You hear that, Piers? You're my witness. Labour front bench spokesman admits he's a communist. Wait till Fleet Street hear about this.
You crushed my nuts.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you had any. Alan, why did you charter this old wreck?
I chartered it, Piers, because it was extraordinarily cheap. I'm £300 a head up before we even get to St. James.
Okay, we'll be commencing our run over St. James in a little while. I hope you all enjoying the flight, because our motto is service with a smile. That's why so many famous people have flown Caribbean International. Buddy Holly, Otis Reddick, Jimmy Reeves, Glenn Miller. Folks, the old jokes is always the best jokes. Cowboy!
God, I hate Americans. How can you have a nice day when there are Americans around? Oh, hello, you beautiful American. I'm afraid I just spilt my drink in my lap. I wonder if you could sort of mop it up a little. Oh, good.
Would Mr. Bastard kindly get his ass up to the cockpit? Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Al. Enjoying the flight? No. Glad to hear it.
Anything else?
Yep. Seems like we got a little operational hitch concerning our ETA, Al.
I see. And in English?
Well, it's kind of hard to explain, Al.
Well, then why not try breaking the habit of a lifetime, Captain, and use your brain?
Alex, why don't you demonstrate?
Yes, sir. This is Caribbean International Airways, Flight 001er, requesting permission to land at St. James International Airport. Over.
This is St. James Police Station. Is that you again, man? You just won't take no for an answer. We tell you already, the airstrip closed until we harvest the sugar cane. Everybody knows that.
is Alan Bastard, a member of Parliament from England. My majority is 4 times the size of your entire population. And I'm visiting your horrible little island as the personal guest of President Oakham Martin. Now stop playing silly buggers.
If President Lewis invited you, then praise the Lord. It's a miracle. The poor old man has been deaf, dumb and blind the past 3 years.
President Lewis? What are you talking about?
Lewis, that's the president's first name. We're all on first name terms here. This is a friendly island. Now push off, hunky.
Now listen, you stupid man. Your president's name is Laurence, and he's perfectly fit and healthy. I should know. I happen to go to school with him.
Sounds like Laurence has taken another hunky for a ride. Laurence is the president's grandson. He's always pulling scams. A few years back, he nearly sold this entire island to the Disneyland people. That's what gave the old man his stroke. Woke up one day and found Donald Duck in his swimming pool. Have a nice day.
There you go, Al. Looks like you've been well and truly shafted.
Oh, thank you for your sympathy, Captain Hook. What a shame the Viet Cong took so little of you. Damn. I'll kill that double-dealing black con merchant. I wish he was deaf, dumb, and blind by the time I'm finished with him. Something the matter, Alan? Yes. The Bank of St. James has had an attack of premature liquidation. Which means that you're in big trouble, Pigs. Yes, you. You've taken over £250,000 in bankers' drafts from your colleagues under false pretenses.
Yes, but you've got the money.
Yeah, I've got the money, but you're responsible for it. You're the treasurer of the Friends of St. James.
No, I'm the secretary.
No, you're the treasurer. I just promoted you. Congratulations. Which means that you're in big trouble. And these good people sober up and realise how much you've swindled them by. They'll throw you off the plane in midair.
Oh, my God. I'm going to die. And I've never been physically intimate with my fiancée.
I have. You're not missing much. Now, if you could just get your brain off sex for 10 seconds. I have had a brilliant plan which might just save your skin. Follow me.
Sugar smash, 2.95%. Fruit and fibre is 0.89%.
I got a master's in political science at Cornell, but it's not smart to be too smart in this line of business.
Okay, this is a hijack! We are the People's Liberation Army of St. James! Nobody turn around! We have grenades!
The one he says! He's got a gun pressing into my back!
Okay, everybody put their heads between the knees! Not you, Comrade Juan! Okay, if any one of you gringo MPs looks up, there's gonna be a lot of unexpected by-elections around here.
Excuse me, but do you know that 73% of hijacks all end in tragedy?
In fact, if anything untoward happens at all, Mr. Dull gets it first. Okay, you filthy, decadent members of Parliament. Get out your wallets and give them to Comrade Juan. With the October 13th movement. Move it! Move it!
Holy God, it's the same thing!
It's me.
Al! What in the name of Oliver H. North is going on, Al?
It's far too complicated for an American to follow, so let's just say I'll give you all the money in this bag if you forget this ever happened.
You got it, Al.
Okay. And I'll just keep those silly old bankers' drafts, shall I? Right. I think you're so good as to pass me the intercom. Okay, fly this plane to Cuba or I blow the brains out of this attractive young Tory MP, Alan Bastard.
Don't listen to him, Captain Hare. She's probably just bluffing.
I'm not bluffing at all. Fly this plane to Cuba or I'll blow us all apart. This grenade is primed. I have only to move my finger.
This guy's good. Okay. I'm changing course. Don't kill us.
I'll do anything. Just don't move your finger.
Quick, grab them, Captain. I've managed to get the grenade. Ha! You will never take us alive. Come, Juan, let's jump. God, the emergency exit. For the glory of the counter-revolution! Parachutes. Okay, Pierce. Get changed. Right, now, Pierce, I want you to hit me. Why? Well, I need some sign of my heroic struggle. Oh. I will get you for that. Okay, Captain. Let's go.
Okay, folks, it's all over thanks to your Mr. Bastard here. Boy, I met some tough guys in Nam, but you ain't got nothing on them.
Thank you. Really, it was nothing. I was just doing my duty, you know. I feel so responsible bringing you all here. I'm just so sorry that St. James turns out to be a very bad investment prospect. However, when the hijackers parachuted out of the plane, they took all the banker's drafts, I'm afraid, so £250,000 has gone to fund international terrorism.
Oh, to hell with the money, bastard. You're a hero.
3 cheers for Mr. Bastard here. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray!
Alan, you weren't really physically intimate with my fiancée, were you? Yes, come on here. Ow! I told you I was going to do that, didn't I?
Stage of my journey through time, I've really got a bit too far back. I'm standing in a scrap of woodland, much the same as it would have been 7,000 years ago. But my story actually begins just...
Hello.
Bonjour. My name's Chantal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your new French mistress.
Yeah.
You must be Mr. B.
Yes, that's right. But, you can call me Piers.
That's a nice name.
Yes, it is, isn't it? It isn't mine, of course.
Yeah.
Good.
Mrs. Selway told me what you like. You naughty boy.
I find it helps me relax after a long day's sitting. like a nice whippy one.
I told you what would happen if you failed your French oral again.
What?
It's supposed to hurt. You wicked boy.
Stupid trollop! I'm not a masochist, I'm a sadist. I came to be killed.
This one's got more stripes than you have, Sergeant. All right, pervert, downstairs.
Now! I shouldn't be here at all. I'm from the good flute guy. There's been a terrible mix-up at the office.
What goddamn bore these interruptions are. Takes me long enough to get my engine warmed up to start with.
It must be pretty clapped out if the bodywork's anything to go by.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Cyril, I didn't know you were a member here, old boy. Oh, yes, the girls are so fragrant. I've been coming here for years. So to speak. Congratulations, by the way, on your knighthood, old boy. Well, strictly between Freemasons. I knew I was onto a K, provided the jury found that randy little politician not guilty on the curb-crawling charge. Was he guilty? No, as a matter of fact, he wasn't. He happened to be in here at the time. I saw him. Hello. A star, isn't it?
Not necessarily, no.
Yes, of course it is. You did jolly well with that private member's bill. Arming the police.
I'm most terribly sorry, gentlemen. Inspector Radford here is new, and apparently no one has explained our special relationship with the local force.
If you are implying, madam, that there is some nod and wink deal in operation between my Nick and your bawdy house...
Well, of course there is. It's been that way for years.
You realise I could do you for that?
I expect she'd probably give you a discount.
All right, sleaze bags, names and addresses.
The Right Honourable Sir Cyril Havisham Armstrong, Court of Appeal. Daisy, come here. This is Major General Ralph Munro MacDonald, KCMG, KCVO, DSO, Ministry of Defence.
If you think I'm wasting ink writing down this crap... All right, let's have your real name.
Of course. Piers Fletcher Dervish, MP, House of Commons.
I'm warning you!
No. Before you go any further, Inspector, let me show you this. My warrant cards.
Commander Stapleton, Vice Squad. That'll do nicely, sir. All right, lads, there seems to have been a bit of a cock-up here.
Extraordinary facility you have for the telling phrase, Inspector.
You just come with me, Inspector, and let's see what I can do for you.
Thank you, madam.
Welcome back. In a few minutes, we'll be discussing the implications of last night's crucial by-election. In the studio, we'll be talking to MP Bob Crippen and Alan Bastard, MP.
Oh, shit!
Taxi! Taxi!
Take me with you, please.
Sit well back in your seat if you don't mind, Chief, in case I have to do an emergency stop.
I shall sit as I choose now. I will not hold a common foot down.
The Metropolitan Hackney Carriage Office would have my badge if I didn't attend to passenger safety at all times.
Right, I'm sitting nicely now. Will you please begin?
sitting on the edge of your seat. Been for a bit of hanky-spanky at Mrs. Selby's famous knocking emporium, eh? Nothing to be ashamed of. Mrs. Selby's is a landmark of old London. Yeah, it's even one of the rungs of the knowledge now. How do you get from Mrs. Selby's to the Middlesex Hospital clap clinic? Hi! I didn't expect a tip! What about my fare?
And Mr. Porky's book of Big Bangers is now available in the shop, price £5.95. The time is 7:20 and you're watching Good Morning Britain from TVAM, and a very good morning to you. My name is Jane Eyre.
Who won the by-election? What by-election?
Yesterday's by-election posed an important challenge to all political parties. In the studio this morning we have Conservative MP Alan Bastard and Labour MP Bob Crippen. Well, Mr. Bastard, all the pundits said that this by-election in a key Tory marginal would be an important hurdle for the government. Were you surprised by the result?
No, not really, Jane, no. Were you surprised, Bob?
Surprised? I was completely gobsmacked. It was a bolt out of the blue.
Oh, yes, that's right. It was a bolt out of the blue, but a predictable bolt out of the blue. That's why I wasn't surprised.
But to get down to specifics...
Yes, Jane, but I really think that the British people are fed up after this long year of more politics. Why don't we get on to the real issues? I mean, how is Anne Diamond's lovely little baby?
Hang on. We're here to discuss the by-election. It's not Woman's Hour. Unless, of course, you don't happen to know the result, bastard.
I not know the result? That's outrageous.
What was it, then?
Oh, I see. Turned into a TV interviewer now, have we, Dr. Crippen?
What was it?
Well, I'm not going to be browbeaten into answering by some bald crypto-Stalinist.
Right. You ask him, Jane. Go on, ask him.
Well, I'm sure you must know the result, Mr. Bastard.
Of course. Labour. Came second and we held the seat. I mean, it was a foregone conclusion, really.
Actually, it was a surprise victory for the SDP.
Oh, solid! Oh, that's right. Get me up early in the morning. Get me up early in the morning and ask me trick questions, why don't you? No, I'm Dennis Healy felt.
Oi!
Oh, God.
Now I know what MP stands for. Monumental Prat.
I'd advise you to go away. You are a nasty little...
Heightist. I had to hang about. You didn't pay your fare. So I come in and I watch you on the second reception. Worth £3.50 of anybody's money. So the ride's on me. Blimey, I almost feel sorry for you when she finds out about this morning.
Shut up.
Fancy not even knowing the result. I'd have told you if you'd asked me nicely. Ah, but you didn't want to listen to my common working class accent.
Shut up, or I will hit you.
Oh, yes, very brave. Hit a man of diminished stature, with a dicky heart to boot. Well, that just goes to show, doesn't it? Any old tosspot can become a Tory MP if he knows what palms to grease.
Right.
Well, come on, get up and make a fight of it. Come on, get up, you little bastard, get up! Please.
Oh, no!
Well, that's just what I need first thing on a Friday morning, isn't it? A dead dwarf!
Albert Hort.
Fred Hasco, pleased to meet you.
Do we know you? Oh, yes, it's Alan Thingy, isn't it?
Spare me your pathetic attempts at wit, Piers.
And where were you last night when we were voting on the bill to recriminalise prostitution?
I was paired.
Yes, with one of Mrs. Selway's girls, no doubt. You hypocrite.
Yes. The chief gets very angry, you know, Alan.
Yes, and everybody's talking about what an arse you made of yourself on breakfast television this morning. You've let the side down, Bastard. I'm disappointed in you.
Do you really think I give an orangutangs for the opinion of a man with a plastic drainpipe where his colon should be?
You'll be old one day, Bastard.
Yes, I shall, but I shan't be bionic. There he goes, off to see his Harley Street plumber, no doubt. Piers. Piers, I wonder if you could do me a little favour.
That depends.
Well, I've got a taxi downstairs.
And you want me to go and pay the driver as usual?
No, don't try to anticipate me, Piers. You haven't got the wit. I just want you to drive the taxi out to the country, somewhere secluded, and, set fire to it. Why? Well, it's a very old taxi, and really, I don't need it anymore. Here are the keys. Thanks.
No, I don't want to.
What? Why not? Give me one good reason.
Well, taxis aren't biodegradable, and it'll upset the wildlife.
Oh, poor little bunny bunnies. Well, you sit down there then, Piers. No, you sit down. I'll go off all on my own into the middle of the country and set fire to the taxi for you, shall I? Sure.
Oh, no!
Yes, officer? Dulwich. Dulwich.
How does Dennis react to the idea of you running for a fourth term?
Goodness me, he's less than completely enamored, threatening to vote monster raving lonely.
Mind you, many more Tory performances like Bastards this morning, and there may not be a fourth. Can you drive more carefully, please?
Yes, what are we going to do about him, Chief Whip? It was quite the worst television appearance since Michael Foote hung up his welding spectacles.
And he failed to respond to a three-line whip last night. He seems to imagine that just because he's got the largest majority in the House, he's immune to discipline. Well, tomorrow I intend to haul him over the coals.
Excuse me interrupting, but I saw him on the telly this morning and I thought he was knockout.
Do you mind? I don't think the Prime Minister intended to include you in her conversation.
No, I am interested. I am interested in hearing what the common man has to say.
Well, you're in the right place then, aren't you, Governor? Because I don't get much more common than me. And let me tell you that all us common blokes reckon that Alan bastard is right rubber-dub-dub all up and down the apples and bananas, right down the old Kent Avenue. You know what I mean?
Thank you for sharing your political insights with us.
I mean, I've always been your Labour in the past, right? I mean, I've never been able to care much for them old-fashioned Tory, toffee-nosed MPs like Sir Stephen Baxter. But with ordinary blokes like Bastard coming through, well, you'll get my vote every time. And hundreds of other ignorant working-class cabbies like me feel exactly the same.
Up and nanny, up some stairs, in and out, I drive my van. Up and nanny, up some stairs, one chingy cockney lead, I go in and out my hand. Up and nanny, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's how many kids I've got.
Driver, shut up! Got more work if we'd taken a bus.
Right, that's 77 quid, but to you, Duchess, nothing.
There must be somewhere around here a chap can set fire to a taxi. This'll do.
Morning. You so hate having a dirty bonnet.
Stupid, overpopulated county.
Perfect. Well, that tone too.
You all right, sir? Hey, this one's coming round.
Hello, officer. I was at TVAM.
I thought it was you.
I was at TVAM and it's all coming back to me. The driver went mad. He wouldn't let me out of the taxi. And now he's dead. Better dead, I suppose, than life in a lunatic asylum.
Shouting maniac! He tried to kill me!
Calm down, Schulte.
Come on, let's get back down to the net. Get sorted out there.
Officer, there is nothing to sort out. Whose word are you going to take for this? The Member of Parliament with the largest majority in the House of Commons, or this nasty, foul-mouthed, stunted, psychotic little dwarf?
Put it like that, sir. Come, you.
What are you doing?
Come on.
Leave me alone!
Come on! Come on!
Action,
Now, sir, if you'd like to come with us, we'll take you to Basildon General. Get that wound dressed.
You don't think I'm going to set foot inside an NHS hospital after 10 years of government cutbacks, do you? Take me to Harley Street!
The start. Come to clear out your desk, have you?
What?
The chief whip was in here earlier, looking for you. If I were you, I'd try to land a few directorships whilst you've still got MP after your name.
I've got the largest majority in the House. What can he do to me?
Oh, he could have you thrown out of the party. He could promote you and send you to Northern Ireland.
Really? Oh, Chief Whip! Just the man! And perhaps you can give me some advice. I've just been left £20,000 by a distant relative, and fortunately, as I'm fabulously wealthy and I don't need the money, I've decided to donate it to your favourite charity.
And being an anti-bureaucratic sort of a chap, I thought, well, why not cut out all the red tape? You know, just give it to the good old Chief Whip straight into his hand. Let him get on with it.
Cut the crap, bastard. I don't like you. I've never liked you. I don't wish to spend one moment longer in your company than is absolutely necessary. I think your behavior over the last days has been execrable. And if it were up to me, you would become an unfortunate hiccup in the otherwise downward trend of the unemployment statistics. The Prime Minister, however, seems to rather like you. I suppose even the greatest post-war leader this country has known is entitled to one lapse of judgment.
Margaret likes him?
I'm afraid so. I do wish she wouldn't keep talking to taxi drivers.
I don't know. I think it's quite a good idea. She keeps in touch with the man in the street. You know what I mean, Chief? Whip. Drop me as your local member of parliament just because I missed one meeting of the local party.
Since you were elected, you've missed every meeting of the local party. In fact, we're thinking of running a Spot the MP competition in the constituency newsletter. Anybody who sees you in Holton Price wins a £5.
But there are more important things for an MP to do than go swanning around the constituency pressing the flesh.
Agreed, and you don't do any of those things either. You never hold surgeries, you don't ask questions in the House, you throw away constituents' letters, and you take absolutely no interest in local industry.
All right, I admit it. I'm not perfect.
I blame myself. Years ago, they offered us Leon Britton for our MP. I turned him down because he was Jewish. Now, after you, I wouldn't even demur if Central Office foisted a darkie on us.
Well, how do the other members of the Executive Council feel about me?
Who cares? I'm the chairman. They do as I say. In that respect, it's a perfect miniature of Mrs. Thatcher's cabinet.
Daddy, what a lovely surprise. Mwah, mwah. You stay to lunch?
No, not hungry. Just chewed up and spat out your husband. I'm leaving now, but it's him that's on his way out.
Are you serious about sacking me?
Oh, Daddy's always serious. Compared to him, P.W. Botha's an old softy. Will you try and find another constituency? Or will you give up politics altogether and concentrate on being a full-time spiv?
No, neither. I'll be all right. There's over a month before the next meeting of the Executive Council. That's time enough to enhance my reputation.
Yes, but can one enhance what doesn't exist?
Of course, darling. This is politics, not real life. A few large donations to popular charities, some well-publicised appearances at local events. I'll soon be everyone's blue-eyed boy again.
Not Daddy's.
I'll need your help, though, darling.
See, a politician isn't dressed without a beautiful wife on his arm. We'll have to be seen at charity events, you know, visit geriatric wards and kiss babies. Nauseating prospect, but it goes down very well with the plans.
But, darling, I think you're forgetting something.
Hmm?
I loathe and despise you. Why should I help you?
Well, because I'm the one who pays for all this sexy lingerie.
It is rather sexy, isn't it? Is it turning you on?
Well... As Kipling probably said, down in the jungle, something stirred.
Well, darling, I'm sorry if I'm giving you a rudyard on, but... Don't let's spoil a perfectly stable marriage by trying to reintroduce sex into it.
But I want to make a donation of £50,000. No, only if you make me the president. Well, because Save the Children is a charity very close to my heart. Yes, well, Princess Anne's had a good run. Anyway, she'll probably have to be chauffeuring Mark Phillips around after the trial. Oh, well, in that case, I shall direct my largesse elsewhere. Hello? Yes, you can help me. Yes. I'm interested in becoming the master of the Corporation of Trinity House of Deptford Strand. Yeah, well, it's because I'm very interested in the welfare of lighthouse keepers. No, I'm not interested in sailors in general, and I resent the implication. The Duke of Edinburgh, my God, that family's got it sewn up, haven't they?
Sorry to bother you, sir. There's a lady outside, says she's got an appointment.
Oh, really? What does she look like?
Well, sir, I suppose you could say she's like something out of Dallas.
Oh, what do you mean, Sue Ellen?
No, sir, I was thinking more J.R.
Oh, God. Morning.
Morning.
It's all right, officer. This is Norman, my accountant. Go. All right, make it snappy. I don't really want to be seen around the Palace of Westminster with a transvestite.
Oh, so that's the thanks I get for saving your bacon.
Eh?
Have you heard of Lamberger Guzzler?
Are you serious?
Lamberger Guzzler is an American chain of fast food eateries. Their speciality is a 1.75-ounce lamb meat patty enhanced with 9 secret spices and 14 chemical additives.
Yum. So what?
So they want to open 200 Lamberger Guzzler restaurants in Britain by the end of next year. Now, that means they're going to build a huge factory in a sheep farming area. And as you know, Halton Price is a big sheep-rearing district.
Is it?
So all you have to do is make sure that the factory is built in Halton Price. They'll give you the keys to the city.
But that's excellent, Norman. Wait a minute. There must be dozens of places where they breed sheep, not including the cabinet. Why should they come to Halton Price?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Oh, God. You're not going to play hard to get, are you?
I need £10,000, Alan, to pay for my sex change operation, and it isn't a health service cut.
All right, then. Why should the Guzzler Corporation site their factory in Halton Price?
Well, taking regional development allowances into account, the Guzzler Corporation would be tossing millions away if they built anywhere other than Halton Price.
Really? That's excellent.
Or Wales.
Ah.
Yeah, well, it should be simple for a man of your talents to put Wales out of the running.
Yes, probably, but I'm the chap with the checkbook, so you tell me how.
Willoughby Guzzler, father of the Lamberger, is a strict Christian fundamentalist, and when I say strict, he would make Billy Graham look like Billy Connolly.
Really, is he now? Well, then, I feel it is my moral duty to ensure that nice Christian Mr. Guzzler finds out that Goronwy Hopkins, the Secretary of State for Wales, is a notoriously randy Welsh ram.
You've read my mind.
Norman, you are a genius. If I didn't know your little secret, I'd kiss you.
Factus. You haven't signed it.
No, of course not. I haven't finished with you yet. What are you doing tonight, Chucky?
Oh, yes, Goronwy Hopkins always had a weakness for the fillies. In fact, he was damned lucky his political career wasn't abruptly curtailed by a certain scandal back in the early 60s.
really? Oh. Go on. Which scandal?
Quite a small one. After Vassal, before Profumo. Gronwy was a junior minister at the time. He developed a passion for an exotic dancer called Hilda, who performed in a rather seedy nightclub. They arranged a rendezvous there one weekend, but on the Friday night, Gronwy developed a nasty cough, and his doctor ordered him to go to bed and suck a fisherman's friend. So he asked a close colleague of his, another junior minister, to pop along to the nightclub in question and make his excuses to Hilda. Unfortunately, a freelance photographer for the News of the World happened to be in the club at the time. Some photographs were published, and Gronwy's colleague was ruined, forced to resign from the government. And I've been on the back benches ever since. Gronwy Hopkins, on the other hand, went on to gain all the glittering prizes. And there he is now, a thoroughly filthy fellow.
Come on, Stephen, introduce me.
Hopkins, good to see you. You're looking well.
Baxter, good Lord, man. I thought they'd kicked you upstairs years ago.
No, I'm still hanging on the back benches. This is a young protege of mine, Alan Bastard.
How do you do, sir? This is indeed a great honour for me. You must allow me to buy you a drink.
Allow you? Well, that's a hardship. Certainly, a pint of best bitter.
Pint of best bitter it is. A pint of best bitter, please, and I'll have a large brandy. I don't think they serve fishermen's friends, do they?
Oh, don't tempt me. The old heart's not what it used to be. I shouldn't really be drinking. Tell me, what's a young go-getter like you doing, sucking up to an old druid in the autumn of his political career?
Just simply that I'm a lover of whales.
Well, that's kinky.
Yes. And conservationist as well. Dear, oh dear, look at the portfolio on that.
You can lean on my dispatch box anyway. You're an admirer of the female form, aren't you?
Oh, you can say that, yes, yes. And yourself?
Worshipper. Worshipper, boy.
To work. Where do you go to pick up the girlies?
I used to go to Shepherd's Market. That was before, you know, the bit of trouble with the, you know...
Well, in that case, you really must come down to my club. There are some very broad-minded hostesses there. Evening. Now, Gronwy, I'm just going to pop to the gents and get a fistful of condoms. You make some. Bottle of champagne, please. The real stuff, not the usual pear drags. I'm back in a sec.
Alan, I don't like this.
No, Norman. £10,000.
Allow me, Would you care to join me in a glass of bubbly, my dear? Oh, I hate drinking alone. There you are. Bottoms up.
I don't normally go into hotel rooms with strange men.
Neither do I. You really are the most extraordinary person, Norma. You combine a gorgeous feminine figure with a sharp, witty, dare I say, masculine mind.
Welsh flatterer, Gronwy.
No, I mean it. I mean it.
I mean it.
Breasts are so firm.
Well, they should be. I've only had them a few months.
What a sense of humour.
Don't, please.
No, come on, I know you girls. When you say no, you want us boys to try harder.
No, I don't.
Now, relax, my dear. I'm a man of the world. I doubt you've anything up there I haven't come across before.
You want a bet?
Right! Yes, kiss him, Norman, kiss him! Gotcha!
Save your flashbulbs, Alan. He's dead.
See? God, you're right. Looks as if rigor mortis is set in already.
What?
Dear, oh dear. Oh. Mr. Gosler, how do you do?
I do just dandy, Mr. Meester. You mind if I call you Alan?
Not at all. Please do, Willoughby.
Well, this is one hell of a classy office building you got for yourself here, Al.
Well, thank you, Willoughby. Although it's not just an office block, it also happens to be Parliament.
I know that, Al. Gee whiz. Soon as you limeys hear a good old southern drawl, you think you're dealing with some old dumbass shit kicker.
Now, let me remind you that I have in 10 short years built the 5th largest fast food business in the US of A, and I have come to this tiny spit of an island out of the goodness of my heart to bring my eateries to your shopping malls, if you got any. Jobs to your unemployed young'uns, and wholesome lamb burgers to feed your starving northerners. Well, so, let's not you and me get off on the wrong cowboy boot.
Absolutely.
Huh, son?
Absolutely. Point taken. Ooh. Mr. Gosler, did you by any chance receive the press cuttings about the poor Gran Hopkins that I sent you?
Oh, yeah, sure did. Whew, terrible business. Government minister dying in such a undignified way.
Yeah. But what can you expect? The Welsh are essentially a pagan race, only drawn to Christianity for the opportunity of a good sing-song. Whereas my God-fearing Yorkshiremen...
Yeah, whoa, hold your sheep there, Al. Look, I just touched down. I'm still jet-lagging a little. Why don't we have dinner together tomorrow night, and, well, then we can talk turkey.
I'd rather talk lamb burgers.
Yeehaw! Shit! Yeah, and my little Edie, she's real hot to meet you and your good lady.
Lady? What, you mean my wife?
You are married, aren't you?
Oh, yes, very happily.
Great! Because we're a family business. As my little Edie always says, the family that stays together stays together. We make lousy mottos, but great burgers.
Oh, good. Well, I'll just telephone my beloved and make sure she hasn't made any alternative arrangements for tomorrow night. Hello, Norma. Terrible stink about old Gran Hopkins, eh? Shouldn't think his local party were particularly pleased about him dying in the arms of a tart.
Better to shaft a tart than your entire electorate.
So you're still intent on sacking me?
Certainly. I thought you'd invited me here to accept your resignation in person.
I see. You're quite immovable.
As a constipated elephant.
Trouble is, what would I do if I did have to resign?
Well, I could make a suggestion, but you'd have to be double-jointed.
You're thinking about sheep farming.
Sheep?
Yes, sheep. Little woolly beasts with trusting faces.
How about sheep? Been rearing the damn things for over 50 years. But what with prices plummeting and those damn froggy farmers hijacking our lorries, I don't know.
Well, if you're thinking of selling up...
I didn't say that.
Oh, well, I'm just interested, you know. I don't mind paying a little over the market price for good sheep.
How much above the market price?
Suck on this. All the food for this outlet we have flown in from Virginia, but once we start expanding...
You're going to need Yorkshire sheep.
Oh, could be, Al, could be. Well, dig in, everybody, while they're hot and greasy.
Yes, indeed. For what we are about to receive, may the Lord make us truly thankful. Amen. Mmm. 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 It's very pleasant.
Right, it should be. 100% farm-raised lamb. What do you say, Norma?
Oh, I just feel so overdressed.
No way. I think you look cute.
So it's actually 100% meat, is it?
Well, it depends upon what you mean by meat. You see, we have a no-waste policy. Bones, brains, and balls. All that's left of the poor little devil is what the bell used to hang around the poor varmint's neck.
How very efficient. So, Mr. Guzzler, how many little lambs are you going to need to slaughter per annum in Britain?
Well, no, that depends upon turnover. What do you say, Edie?
Well, we average 6 to 7 carcasses a week per outlet at an average of 43 pounds of usable sheep product per carcass times 200 eateries.
But that's nearly 6 million lamb burgers.
5,750,000 to be precise.
Ooh-wee. Looks like both our gals got brains as well as bazookas.
Thank you, Willoughby.
Yes, I think we can both thank the Lord that we've been so lucky in our choice of helpmates. Do you know, in fact, I feel like getting down on my knees right now and giving thanks. Thank you, Lord.
You know, girls who are smart in the office are usually sweet in the sack. You know what I mean? What, is that right, Edie?
Well, I've never had any complaints, Willow, from you or anyone else. How about you, Norma?
Oh, well, Norma is a one-man woman.
In every imaginable way.
You mean to say, Norma, that you never screwed around?
Well, that's a very personal question.
How about you, big boy? Do you swing?
Well, I belong to a few golf clubs.
I just love your British sense of humor.
Yeah.
It's so sexy.
Say, why don't we all go on back to my hotel suite and party? I got a jacuzzi, I got a water bed, I got a stack of stag films I brought in from the States, huh? What do you say? Come on, honey, if we can just loosen your nuts, I bet you can really screw around.
I'm a married woman.
Oh, I'm a married woman, too. I wouldn't dream of cheating on my Willow. I always tell him when I'm about to swing with another guy.
Yeah, and if I'm videoing it, she can hardly be accused of going behind my back. Now, can she?
I suppose not. Mr. Guzzler, I really feel I must say that I've become very shocked at the tone this conversation is beginning to take. I mean, Norma and I are devout and strict Christians, and the only sin we're interested in is the General Synod of the Church of England.
Hallelujah!
Hallelujah.
What?
Hallelujah! Praise God!
Praise God.
Oh, yes, absolutely, yes.
You see, Edie and me, we was just tempting you like the Lamb of God was tempted in the desert.
Amen.
Lamb of God?
He means Jesus.
Who?
Jesus.
You'll forgive me for the utter profanities I've just uttered. But Well, we had to be sure. You see, just before he passed over, the late Gran Wise Hopkins sent me a long letter saying as how I shouldn't cite my factory in Halton Price on account of the Member of Parliament being a real dirty dog.
Does this mean I get the factory?
We'll sign the papers in the morning, and before you know it, we'll be turning over the old sod.
And I can't wait to see the old sod's face when I tell you.